welcome to my studio and to my August newsletter video. And I am kind of in a period where I'm having some time to be able to get out and about, see family, see friends, and start visiting places again. And I'm also in a sort of review period of where I'm at, what my plans were with my creativity this year, and where it's going for the rest of the year. And that's been kind of dipping back into sketchbooks, notebooks, finding what a path could be through some of the 100-day project, which I talked about last month, and you can still see behind me, and some of the evolution that can happen with that. And I think it's really important to take those reflective times and to revisit kind of, I'm very much into this idea that creation kind of comes through us, and that you shouldn't really try and control that too much. But at some point you kind of want to say, what's it for? Where's it going? What are the outcomes for this? And there's kind of revisiting and reviewing that goes on. And I just want to take you on a little project really for one of those kind of reviews that you can do. And it's a really pleasurable one in that it's dipping back into who are the people that I love to look at, whose art do I want. And it's this idea that if you could have the art from any museum walls of anywhere around the world, what would you have? What would you collect? Which Picasso would you take home with you? Which Georgia O'Keeffe would you put under your arm? And so there are people whose work I constantly go back to. Some of those go right back to being at art college, even before. You know, pictures that I saw in galleries when I was young that just made such an impact that if I could really, you know, put my balaclava on and go and take one, which ones would they be? So I'm going to take you over to my desk and I'm going to show you a few of the pieces that I would have in my fancy art collection and how we can make a collection of those and give ourselves new inspiration, revisit those people that really kind of help us to be our unique selves. You know, who is it that you like? Why is that different to what I like? And having those inspirations around us really helps us move forward. So come on, let's have a look. Let's create that fantasy art collection. I've collected together some of my favourite pictures by some of my favourite artists. And I've taken things down off my wall in the studio, but also I have these tucked away in drawers, exhibitions I saw years ago. And I've also printed some off the internet. So these were just screenshots and I printed those out on my printer at home. You could cut pictures from magazines or art magazines that you've got and just collect and also take the time to revisit people that you've kind of forgotten about. I mean, Klimt was huge for me. When I was 18, I had this on my bedroom wall, and I love Klimt's work and the pattern. I've got a Rothko there. Again, I remember going to Paris and seeing the Rothkos and just being overwhelmed by their intense colour and scale. Of course, there's a Picasso collage. That's one of my faves. But there's modern artists too, like Mark Hurld. This is a Welsh artist, John Nat Fisher. I really love his landscapes and remind me of holidays in Wales. There's people, there's Frida Kahlo. And this has travelled with me. It's so poignant. It's a piece of work done in a concentration camp and by a child. And that connection to our need to create and create beauty really rings true. This is a postcard that a friend gave me at university. It says, "Love is friendship caught on fire." And we're still friends today. And I see this one in my studio and it means a lot. So it's not really a great work of art, but it is a piece of art that's travelled with me through my life. And so I'm going to arrange some of these. Some might have to go back on my studio wall. I might not want them in this book, but I just wanted to show you. There's a Georgia O'Keeffe, a Winifred Nicholson. This one's by Percy Kelly, who's a Cumbrian artist I really like. Mary Fedden, I love her pattern-based work. And this is an Elaine Pamphilon. So there's a kind of real collection there of the great and the good in my creative journey. So if I just move those to the back, what I've made here, I should have made it in white because I've already got a brown base, but this is a zigzag book. So it's A4 pieces of paper, folded in half, and then they've been taped together. So quite simple. The paper's heavier than printer paper. I'd suggest you use, say, watercolour paper or something that's going to hold its own. And then I'm going to use this to create a little gallery book. It'll be a case of just sticking these in, leaving a bit of space around them, and it doesn't have to be any flow, but you could select them in colours, you could select them in older artists and newer artists, or really it's just up to you how you connect the dots and what this means to you. So I'm just going to grab my glue and stick those in, and I'll show you where I get to in a moment. I've been sticking and I've filled up the spaces of the book. Some were connected by colour and others were more of a random connection. And now I am going to enjoy a bit of doodling on some picture frames. So you can see what's happening there, building up the page, and suddenly it feels more of an exhibition. And the other thing I'm going to do is I've got some rubber stamp letters, see those there, and an ink block, and I'm just going to put on the artist and title for each piece. And that takes a little bit of time, spotting the letters. It's very meditative. I like this stage using the rubber letters. I use them in my workshops and in my sketchbooks. I like the wonkiness. I like how it's not all straight. And let's look for... These aren't now in alphabetical order. Not much of my studio's in order. I guess that says something about my brain. And this piece is called The Kiss. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm going to work my way through the book and put my frames on, put the text in, and then I will show you my little miniature fantasy art collection. Here we are. This is my final little art collection book. and I've added the frames and the text. I made these hang up so that they look like they're on a wall, and this one I've added a bit of blue pen too. I've got the Mark Hurled there and Picasso. And it's a project that can grow as you collect postcards, as you go out to galleries, or they could have different themes. They make little project books. So there you go, there's my little HH art collection. What's going to be in yours? Do share them if you're making them this summer. It's a great project to do with people of any age, house guests or children, grandchildren. And if you're sharing on Instagram, share with the hashtag Fantasy Art Collection HH, and I shall write that down in the text as well. So I hope you can join me in this little project. I hope it gets you out engaging with art again, and I hope it reminds you of what you connect to or who your favourites are, and that you can share the journey with somebody else and introduce them to some of your favourites too. See you soon. Bye.